All right.
Welcome to another edition of the Adam Gold Show After Dark, Premier League Match Week 4. That right there you see is Jay Kumar. This, I have no idea why he's
funny.
here.
Very funny.
It's my almost 15-year-old. See, these two people are the reason I do this. Jay is the one who got me into it, and you, because you're halfway decent at it, at playing. Now I watch more than you do, and I'm kicking your ever-loving rear end. In picking these games, you have no idea about.
You want to talk about the fantasy or no?
No, we'll talk about fantasy later.
That's
By the way, there's the standings if anybody can see that, but we'll get to that later. All right, Jay. Let's go back over match week 3 if we could. What jumped out to you about the third week of the Premier League season?
Red cards. I think
Again?
that is probably the big takeaway. We've got, I think last year, you brought it up last week, but we had 13 red cards all of last year.
No, it was 18 last year.
18. We're on pace for over 80.
Yep.
At the current rate. That is not the point of the new rules. It has become the talking point. We've got another week where we've had 3 different games where there was at least one red card. And at that pace, you're just kind of ruining the integrity of the league because every single game, if you're playing a man down, it just completely changes all of the tactics, all of the strategies, and hopefully they kind of right size it. But, but as Fulham showed, it doesn't mean you can't get a point.
No, that is true. And apologies to Gunners for allowing that. I'm not so sure. And Jack and I were watching Liverpool and Newcastle when Virgil van Dijk picked up his red card. And if that's in the box, it's a penalty. He goes to the spot. Van Dijk maybe gets a yellow, and that's it. And he continues to play. But it did deny a scoring chance, and the further we get away from it, and maybe it's the medication of somehow winning that match 2-1. But the further I get away from it, the further I realize, is a red card because it denied a scoring chance. I don't think there was a ton of contact, but he clearly went through his leg to get to the ball. But in looking at the whole thing over again, not just the contact, but the conduct, the FA has already reprimanded Van Dijk. They just haven't announced whether or not they're going to tack on another match penalty. He's going to miss the home match at Anfield against Aston Villa. Will he? And he may also miss their first match after the international break against Wolverhampton. But I want Jack's thoughts on this too, and yours. I'm not sure the bigger issue, because Reds are Reds. The McAllister red was stupid, and they rescinded that. But I'm not sure the bigger problem is the fact that they're passing out yellows like they're Pez. If you miss the foul on Anthony Gordon, again, I watched the Liverpool match and it just stands out.
Yeah.
If you miss the foul on Anthony Gordon, where he clearly shoves Trent on his way out of bounds. I mean, it's an obvious foul. Trent sailed through the air. You can't give a yellow because he tossed the ball 10 yards. I mean, it happened right in front of John Brooks. You can't ignore that and then flash yellow because that changes the way people play. Now, Trent could have picked up another yellow, which is, I think, partly why he didn't get that second yellow. I think maybe John Brooks thought maybe that it was dumb. Did you see a lot of yellows? What?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of yellows. Back to that point you were bringing up about the yellow card where, the first yellow Trent got. And, it's not just in soccer. It's in every sports. Refs look for the retaliation, and they saw Trent retaliate, get to the ball at him. So I guess that's probably what it was. That's in what I play. Refs don't really, if they don't see it, they look for the retaliation.
Yeah, refs aren't very good. We're giving out yellows every 5 seconds now.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a bigger issue. I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. The retaliator often always gets caught. But beyond that, we talked about it last week. We've seen it in a variety of games. The new rules, the emphasis is on controlling the game and controlling kind of the over abuse of refs. And let's be clear, we have officiating dilemma because without refs, we don't have game. And it's just a simple fact. And we don't have people, understandably, joining up to be a ref. There's not really a queue of refs.
Oh my gosh.
There is an opportunity, if we think about the structure of the game, to start helping players see career pathways into that through academies. We have so many kids in our academy system that could benefit from having a career pathway that is still in the game. Yep. And oftentimes they just get kicked out of the club and they're gone. And the FA has an opportunity to get folks who played the game to officiate the game, who then have a better sense of how to actually manage the situation and actually have been in the heat of the competition. And oftentimes we don't have that. And so I think that's a way we can start to get after this, the controlling of the game. If you notice, when there's former players who are managers, players treat them differently than managers who may not have played in the recent past. And it's just a fact. And so I think creating that level of control is important because we got to protect refs to make sure we have refs for the future of the game. Without them, no game. Look, but the pathway to becoming a ref is I think some place to look at to hopefully avoid over penalizing the players for misconduct when really we have an incompetence problem that is manifesting in these high level elite athletes are rightfully in some cases frustrated with the quality of what they've got.
I want to move on to another kind of thing that stuck out to me about match week 3, but I think the problem with referees extends to the youth level as much as anything. It's really, really hard to convince people I don't even know what it costs, $25 a game to ref a game when not just coaches are a problem. Parents are a problem.
Gosh.
Right.
That was rough last game.
Yes. They just had a match at Wake Prep versus South Granville, and parents, man. Parents.
I mean, they don't even understand what's going on at this point. They're just yelling for no reason.
All right.
That's why I don't ref anymore.
Yeah.
Here's what stuck out to me. West Ham doesn't have Declan Rice. Tottenham doesn't have Harry Kane. Both of those clubs look significantly better. I am not in any way saying that Declan Rice was holding back West Ham and he's going to be great at Arsenal. And Harry Kane, I'm sure, will be great at Bayern Munich. I believe he's already been on the score sheet several times.
Yeah.
But Tottenham and West Ham look like better clubs today without those two guys and with about £100 million in their bank accounts that are already starting to go out. Tottenham is buying players. West Ham is buying players. But I don't know if it was reliance on a guy to do too much, but man, or maybe it's just West Ham has played 3 games very well and that's as far as it goes. And the same for Tottenham, but both of those clubs look dramatically different to me. And of course we have a new manager at Tottenham with a new style that we can actually watch and not hate ourselves for watching. So but I mean, those two clubs look good.
Yeah, no, they certainly do. I think Tottenham, it's a real factor of Postecoglou. Like, I think there's a through line to their new way of playing that allows the players to show up better. They also played Bournemouth and a United team that looks in shambles. I mean, frankly, they're in a world of hurt. I'm sorry, Jack. We'll get to them in a minute. West Ham is interesting. I don't think it's a Declan Rice being removed. It's they've actually supplemented the level of the squad as a whole has gone up. So when you replace Declan Rice with 3 players that can fill voids across the pitch and elevate their ability, then all of a sudden the sum of the whole is greater than one player. And that's a team game at the end of the day. And so I think West Ham have gotten better as a team, even if none of the players they've added are better than Declan Rice. Tottenham have a manager that has completely transformed the way they are approaching the sport.
An actual manager now.
You didn't like Conte, huh?
No, Conte, I mean, I don't really know what the hell he does.
He's
He
angry
just
at
yells
the
at
game.
people. But
He was angry at the game.
I mean, yeah, he's angry at everybody. And for West Ham, now that we've seen Declan Rice, he was kind of the star of last season. Now it's Lucas Paqueta and Mikel Antonio. Mikel Antonio, I think,
Scored goals,
in
which he barely did last year.
In 3 match weeks, he has 2 goals and assists, I think.
Yeah.
So
and Jared Bowen's playing Jared Bowen ball again.
And
yes,
Paqueta's,
I love and I love the signing of Kudus from Ajax. I think Edison Alvarez is also a really strong 6. He can really jump into that midfield and support, and they had enough there with Paqueta already that all they needed is someone to shore up the back. James Ward-Prowse is also a solid Premier League quality player that can provide some talent. And then Mavropanos, who they signed for center back, is a really good defender. He actually came through Arsenal. So there was a sell-on clause. Arsenal
knew that was coming.
Money back.
That was going to get worked in. Where did Kane originally start?
I don't know.
Didn't Kane originally start at Arsenal's academy too? I believe so.
Okay.
I believe so. All right, one more thing about the match week. City deserved to lose. They ended up winning the match at Sheffield. But why? Foden was the best player that they had on the field against Newcastle. He was. Mm-hmm. He was the best player against Newcastle. He's the unquestioned man of the match against
You're just saying that because he didn't start on your fantasy team.
He was on my fantasy team, and I don't understand
mad
why he came on in like the 80th minute.
Gosh, man.
But I know Pep is recovering from back surgery. So did the guy sitting in for Pep decide to overthink it like Pep does sometimes?
I don't think. I don't think he was.
But
talking.
They were clearly not that good.
He was just watching the game. It wasn't really doing
I don't know what was going on.
He had Pep on FaceTime.
Foden should have played, and you know it.
Don't care.
And then when Foden came on, who set Rodri up? Thank you. End of discussion. I'm sorry. I don't know. That's just the way I looked at it.
Okay then.
And I got an assist out of it, so I ended up with 5 points or whatever it was. It was very, very upsetting, and I lost the week because Phil Foden didn't play.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Jay. Give me your positive or negative vibes now.
I think you already hit on one of them. It's West Ham. I mean, you've got to be feeling really good. They've won their last 2 games 6-2 against Chelsea and Brighton.
Yep.
I mean, it's not as though they had an easy start to the season. They've just continued to elevate their play. The only points they've dropped was their home opener to Bournemouth, and since then they've strengthened their squad. They've added players. They should feel really good about their upcoming matches. I mean, they've got Luton this week. And then they play City, which will be tough. But then after that, they've got a really favorable few matches that could help them with, Sheffield United, and then Newcastle. But I think they should feel really good about what they've done, and I think they beat my vibe check team last week, Brighton. So I guess it's kind of a ladder style. So now they've got the vibes. So
they're king of the mountain.
Whoever takes them, picks them off, will get the vibes next week, I guess. So let's see, maybe Luton will have good vibes.
Interesting week for Brighton, though. Brighton, who cruised through 2 matches, then met up with West Ham, who was willing to sit back and just counterpunch all match long. And now they're taking on Newcastle that's going to come at them angry. And even though I think the match is it's at the Amex.
Yeah.
That's going to be a hard match for Brighton to play because Newcastle, if you're Newcastle, I just think that by not getting the second goal and world class save from Allison to deny Almiron
Yeah, he's
late
so
in the
good.
first half. He is good. But they didn't, they were terrified, it looked like, in the second half. And once they took their foot off the gas and tried to win it 1-0, that is not the team. They are not built. They are not built to hold a lead. They're not built to play like that. They're built to
No.
attack and press and be physical and athletic. They ain't passing the ball around like Barcelona. And
Right.
they can't play keep away.
And they did that last year where they would win and grind out results. They had a really
Yeah.
strong goals against. And so I think they thought they could lean into that, but they did it in a different way. They didn't do it by holding the ball and passing it around. And when you're up a man, you've got to be able to play with possession. They did it by slowing the game down, by
Wasting
doing
time.
kind of some of those. Exactly. And now with the new rules, it eliminates a huge part of their tactical plan. They've got to think about approaching holding leads completely differently, which I think is good for the game. I think it's a positive that they are unable to do what they did last year, because there were many times where I think Newcastle had the lowest average length of time in play of any Big Six team or Big Champions League team in the Premier League. They deliberately took the ball out of play, and that was their motivation. And I think they were very, very successful in using that tactic.
The Virginia
They couldn't do
basketball of the Premier League.
Oh,
100%.
Yeah, I don't watch college basketball. I'd stick to NBA. Yeah. But back to Brighton, that West Ham game, they didn't play bad. They had the ball the entire game. It's just all of West Ham's goals were results of a bad pass, and then it's a 3-on-2 with Antonio just running past everybody.
Yeah.
But they had like maybe 9 block shots point blank that were goal scoring chances. I mean, West Ham blocked a lot of shots that game.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
like,
it was
Hurricanes
a
on the power
wild.
play.
Yeah.
It was a wild game. I mean, yeah, that was some classic. 80% to 20% possession for Brighton, 25 shots to 12 for Brighton, 17 corners to 4 for Brighton.
Yeah.
They lost 3-1.
Yeah.
I mean, it was what expected goals was something
That's it.
silly.
Yeah, I went to 3 Canes games last year, and one of them they shot 70 times on net and lost.
Oh, the Nashville game.
So yeah,
Right.
So I mean, that's what this is. So that's all it is.
The Nashville game had 67 shots on goal. They had like 95 shot attempts.
It
was stupid. It was an absolutely stupid game. My other vibe check is, first of all, Everton has no goals in Premier League play. 0. Jay,
Tough.
Jack, and I tied with Everton for goal scoring, but they did get 2, including a kid they just bought, Beto. I don't know jack about him, but I was listening to a podcast about. Do you know anything about Beto? Other than he lost to
Beto,
to Ted Cruz for Senate 4 years ago.
No one knows what that means, buddy.
Yeah, Jay knows what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Beto O'Rourke. Never mind. But so young kid there, they think very highly of. He didn't start, but he scored the equalizer against Doncaster, and then they got another one, Danjuma, who they just got as well, new player. So that's a good win, just to feel good about Everton, and we'll see if that carries over to this week. And Liverpool is better with 10 men than with 11.
Yeah,
they're +3 this year, down a man. Yeah. It's like this. It's like the Hurricanes shorthanded, more hockey, and they're even in goal differential when each team has 11 players on the pitch. I can't figure it out.
No, I think this Beto kid, he'll be good. I think he had 21 goals for Udinese. He is 6'4". He offers a little bit different profile for them and a little bit more pace than Dominic Calvert-Lewin, similar physique. I think he'll be a solid addition. They tried to buy him in January,
right,
but they couldn't pull it off. And I think it shows they really wanted him, and they went to £26 million for
And they have no
player
money.
that, which kind of shows. And hopefully he comes good. I mean, again, I don't want Everton to go down, but I
Nope.
just think they're going to.
Yeah, well,
I don't know if you noticed today an awesome move, which for a club that continues to pull off awesome moves, Ansu Fati going to Brighton on loan with part of Barcelona keeping their salary. So he doesn't.
Wait. He ended up at Brighton on loan?
He is at Brighton on
Oh
loan.
my gosh. I had heard earlier in the day that he was going to Tottenham on loan.
Nope. He is, here we go from Fabrizio, going to Brighton on loan with Barcelona retaining salary.
I thought Mbappe went to Real, didn't he?
No. That's what everybody assumes is going to happen. Salah hasn't left for Saudi yet, has
Hopefully he does.
Yeah. Not yet.
Before we get to match week 4, the Saudi thing, I get. I don't know how much you and I have gotten into it, Jay. I get for Ronaldo. I get for Benzema. Those guys are really at the end. Benzema's year last year was up and down. It was sporadic. I get it for Bobby Firmino. I wish he had gone to Serie A so I could watch, because I could, we have access to watching a lot of those games. Or there was a rumor that he might go to Barcelona. I wish that those players had stayed in Europe. But I get when you're basically in the back nine of your career and late on the back nine, I get grabbing massive amounts of money. But I assume Salah will go after this year if he doesn't go tomorrow.
Sure.
But I don't get
Edouard
Mendy, right.
That's a great goalie. Well,
Conte can still play.
No one wanted Conte for some reason. No one at all.
Well, Chelsea clearly didn't.
I don't think anybody wanted Conte.
Well, Conte is he's aging. He's also on the back end. I mean, he's 32. He's a year older than Firmino. He is. Right. He was slowing down and injured. I think.
Right.
For him, the clubs that would have wanted him are not the level that he had been playing at. Right. He may have had an opportunity to go to an Everton or a French league club or something like that. He wasn't going to be playing at the top. So at that point, I do get it. Similar to Firmino, similar to Benzema. He was on the back end. He's not getting national team call-ups anymore. He kind of tailed off. For Salah, he'll be 32 next year. I could see him moving at that point as well.
I think it's a given.
And I think if Liverpool can hold on to him for this year, it's smart. His value isn't going to diminish for the Saudis next year. No. He still has that star cachet, and the Arab world adores him. And so there's a lot of interest and appetite for them to invest in that player, similar to how they went after Riyad Mahrez. I think there's some of the players that just make sense for that league to target. But for Conte, for some of these other players, I think
Henderson, Fabinho.
Yeah, Fabinho, exactly. But the one that really shocked me is Ruben Neves. That's the one where you're like, come on, man.
Yeah.
You actually had a big club opportunity. He could easily. United were after him. I thought they really were wanting to add him to build Barcelona. I know Arsenal looked at him in January as a potential option when we signed Jorginho. So he is a player that really shocked me. But it'll be interesting to see what happens with that league over the next few years. And are they going to do what China did when they brought in a bunch of players, Yannick Carrasco and others, or are they going to do what MLS did with Beckham and really build on that and have a stable league?
I mean, I don't know what they're going to do. You have
I mean, I would have been more expected to see Pogba go to Saudi Arabia than Conte, because Pogba he had three the same knee injuries because he got healthy, he got injured again, then he came back in his debut game, he got injured again. Yeah. And
are you surprised Lukaku didn't go to Saudi Arabia because they wanted him?
Yeah, but it's Lukaku. What do you mean?
Well, I mean, he held out. He's on his fourth Serie A club just in this window. I mean, he finally ends up in Roma, but I mean, I was kind of surprised that he
Roma
didn't take.
Now?
He just went. No, that was again. He was at Inter. Inter thought he was going to go back, and then he was secretly negotiating with Juventus, and then that fell apart because Juventus wouldn't meet Chelsea's demands, and
It's
either
Chelsea.
Roma met them or Chelsea just was worn out and gave up. I don't know. But my whole point is, for a guy like Salah, how do you give up Champions League to go play in Saudi Arabia unless you're really done? And that's what I don't.
Well-
what I really don't understand. How do you give that up? The Club World Cup ain't all that.
No, it's not. But I also do think, and this is where there's something to be said about Arab players wanting to grow the profile of the Arab world, and Salah as the biggest Arab player in the world going to that league. I could see that, especially as he enters the second phase of his career. He's already won the Champions League. He's already won the Premier League. He's already
Right.
won the Club World Cup. He's won everything you can win in Europe. And so why not cement your legacy in the part of the world you're from? And so that's where I see the draw for some of these players as that kind of league takes root, especially for a player like him who is still at the level he is at and has the cachet he has.
I'm just looking forward to Liverpool getting 150 million euros for him next year. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what you have to price him at.
Oh yeah,
Can't let-
and they'll pay it. So
Yeah, you can't let him go for that. Are we on to match week 4?
I think so. I think this is going to be a Bill O'Reilly do it live situation for me. So I haven't really had
All right.
too much time to
There's the
to
standings.
dig into it.
Adam, 20-9 plus 2,010 units, 2-0 in Big Six matchups. Jay, 19-10 plus 1055, very, very good. Jack, 16-13, tragically bad, minus 295. So anytime, Jack, you want to get with the game here,
Okay.
we'll be fine.
I'm
All right.
just focused on fantasy Premier League.
We start at Kenilworth Road, where Luton has got approval to actually have people in their backyard, and they will host West Ham. That was why the Sheffield Burnley Luton Burnley match was postponed 2 weeks ago. They weren't allowed to have people. So we're at Kenilworth Road. It's Luton hosting West Ham. Jay, who you got?
I'm going to let Jack do honors on his first pod.
All right.
Jack, who you got?
Yeah, West Ham.
I think that's a good pick, though. I think the Brent Road party is back at Luton. But I am also going to go with West Ham. Think that is Luton is going to be on target for the points record this year. I think they are going to struggle to beat Derby County's 12 points in an entire season.
12 points, man. Can they get 12 draws? I don't know. I mean, they'll probably win a match, but man, you do not want to be the team. It's like the team that lost to the Saints. You know who, by the way, I'm pretty sure I have this right. The team that gave the Carolina Panthers their first win. Do you know who that was?
The Lakers?
I'm gonna go with the 49ers.
The New York Jets.
All right. I
Bubby
figured there had
Brister.
some connection.
Bubby Brister was the quarterback of that game. All right, we're at Bramall Lane, Sheffield hosting Everton.
Ooh. All right. I am going to go with the draw here. I know Sheffield had a nice performance at home against City, but I think that it is, I still think they will struggle to create. And I think Everton probably should have had a draw this week. And so they'll get what they deserved and get a 0-0.
0-0 draw.
I have Sheffield. Based off the last few games, they've had their their striker, Traore. He comes back, helps in defense, and he's fast enough to take the ball to the wing and then cut inside.
Okay.
So I feel like he could have
Maybe
a good game.
Maybe he can have a goal.
Sheffield.
Everton, 2-1. Everton is getting off the schneid with a win on the road at Bramall Lane. I'm feeling it. They scored two goals late to win their EFL Cup match today.
Funny.
They did against Doncaster, worst team in League Two. All right, Brentford At G-Tech against Bournemouth. Jay, who you got?
Oof, I think that'll be a fun match, but I think Brentford are a legit Premier League team that don't need to worry about going down, which is nuts to say if you would have told me about Brentford 5 years ago. But Brentford at home against Bournemouth.
See, it's funny for me. All I know is Brentford's good. I have no history of Brentford, dropping down, being a championship or even like a League One club. I have no concept of that. All I know is Brentford. They're good. They have good players, even without Ivan Toney. For another 4 months with no Ivan Toney. I think but I do have Brentford winning.
I'm going to change my answer.
Are you?
It's going to be I'm going to go with Brentford upset. I'm going to go with draw.
A draw?
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Didn't they just draw Palace?
I think so.
So,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, draw Palace. They were at home to Palace, weren't they?
They were.
So I mean,
Mhm.
Palace is still a good team, but
Yeah.
I mean, Bournemouth. It's Bournemouth. You guys lost. I mean, sorry,
We beat Bournemouth.
Mo Salah lost 1-0.
We beat, but that was last year.
Yeah.
We beat Bournemouth this year with 10 men. I'm hoping that Liverpool will get a red card in the
So
first
what?
half
He's
again.
he's 0 for 2 on PKs against Neto.
Exactly. He did get
Right?
he had his penalty stop, but he scored on the rebound.
Yeah,
Uh,
doesn't count.
all right. We have Burnley at home to Tottenham. You go first, Gold.
I mean, what's the talk about? Tottenham.
All right, there you go. Jay, you got a pick there?
I also am taking Tottenham here.
We are across the board at Tottenham. By the way, in the Everton Sheffield match, we have different responses. I've got
All right.
Everton. You've got a draw. Jack has Sheffield. That has been good for me, by the way. In the 3 times that we've had 3 different picks, I've won all. That's the gap, by the way. That's why we have such a gap.
There we go.
Chelsea. We are at Stamford Bridge against Nottingham Forest.
This is actually a trickier match than I think, on paper you would expect it to be. I think Forest obviously gave United a pretty good scare there, but I think that was
But it was just United.
more United not waking up and starting on time than Forest. And I think at the end of the day, Chelsea have a little bit too much talent and they'll squeak this one out. But it'll be a fun one. I think you should, if you're neutral, it'd be one to turn on at that time.
I hate Chelsea. I hate the fact that they have so many good players.
Yeah.
I just do.
Don't.
I hate it. But they have a lot of good players.
I'm gonna go with Chelsea.
Yeah.
I feel like the 3-0 win against Luton. I mean, Sterling 2 goals and an assist. I mean, he probably just gave himself a really massive confidence boost to go out there and score more goals, even against bigger clubs. So I think Chelsea's gonna start picking up the pace. I'm gonna go with Chelsea.
I mean, they're better than Forest, so not exactly. But
You guys
by the
were
way,
also better against Aston Villa. You lost 7-2.
easy. I don't remember that. By the way, Forest has been buying players left and right.
Yep,
Forest
they
is
just-
completely, which is what they did last year too, but
Right.
now they're doing it again. So, all right, City at home to Fulham. I'm still mad. I was actively rooting against all of us who all picked City to win, and when Sheffield tied it up, I was excited because I thought that City deserved to not win, and then they won it anyway because Rodri's awesome. But City's going to win this, and they might win it by a lot.
Yeah, I don't think they have 2 performances. I don't remember the last time City had 2 back-to-back performances that were less than. They sometimes will be a little bit questionable earlier in the season, but typically they have a draw or they have a weak performance and then back that up with a big win. So yeah, I think you're right. City win at
City.
home against Fulham.
By the way, that number is enormous. City is minus 600. That's not goals, by the way. That's
Yeah.
you have to wager 600 to win 100. All right, we are at the Amex, Brighton and Newcastle. Who we got, Jack?
I'm gonna go.
You
I had draw.
you do.
I had draw. So
want to stay with that, or do you have?
I'm gonna stay with it. So the recent upsets. What did City beat Newcastle?
City beat Newcastle
City
1-0 in match week 2.
Newcastle 1-0. It's gonna be a battle for possession since two of these teams are they play their best when they have the ball.
Okay.
Like almost every other team, but
Except West Ham.
Newcastle when they have possession with the ball is dangerous, especially when you have Isak, when you have Pastu, you have Joe Linton who can send crosses into the box. He can shoot from afar too, especially with Anthony Gordon. I mean, that kid's been on.
Can't stand Anthony Gordon.
He's been on a ransom.
Whatever that is.
Yeah.
We have no idea what he just said.
Ransom.
Who you got, Jay?
Two teams coming off a draw. Coming off losses. One with
Both at home.
Both at home. One up 10 men and playing poorly. One played really well and just got beat on the counter. I like Brighton at home.
I like Brighton at home as well. All right. Palace hosting Wolves.
Palace. I mean, Wolves. Have added nobody, so Wolves are sent to go down this year.
Yeah, I think Wolves are going down as well. They do have Jose Sa, but you can't just win with a goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Just ask
Everton.
Everton.
Although they did last game, Jose Sa kept him in the game last game.
He played. He played very well. Everton had a bunch of scoring opportunities in that match, just couldn't get one past. Palace or Wolves?
Yeah, so interesting. I think Wolves looked really good week 1 against United and probably should have won or at least drawn that game. They looked a shambles against Brighton after going down to 10 men, and they looked it was Everton. I don't know what to say. That was just a weird game. That was two kind of bad teams. And I will take, though, I think this is a draw. I think Palace and Wolves will play this one out to a draw.
Look at you. Very, very bold. All right. Liverpool at home to Aston Villa. There will be no Virgil van Dijk in this one. Ibrahim Kanate is not sure because, get this, he's hurt like he is a lot. Still don't know about some of the other guys maybe to return. But, Jay, at Anfield, Liverpool, and Aston Villa.
So if we look at this game, the only manager who has gotten more points since Unai Emery arrived at Aston Villa is Pep. Right. I think Villa are playing really well. I think Aston Villa are due for a win at Anfield. They haven't won there in, almost 20 years because they weren't in the league for a little while. But it's not going to be today. I think Liverpool win at home.
Oh, you got Liverpool. I was already writing down Aston Villa for you. So you have Liverpool. You have Liverpool to win.
I do.
Yes. Jack,
Yep.
You have?
I have Liverpool. You guys. Darwin's didn't score 4 like this now.
He's Team Darwin now. He will start. I don't think there's any way that Klopp does not.
You guys, you
start
could either
Darwin
start him
Nunez.
or you could loan him because Rasmus Højlund is has a back injury.
3-3 Villa and Liverpool in a draw. I think this game is going to be bananas. I think there's going to be goals all over the place. You have two great goalkeepers. I don't know.
Emmy didn't start last game.
I know he didn't start. I don't
so
understand
their
why.
backup keeper he's like 6'4", 6'5".
But I think this game is going to be absolutely crazy. I don't know who's going to play in the back end for Liverpool. I don't.
It'll be nuts. I know, but I think at the end of the day, Liverpool have an X factor in Alisson. Sorry, it wasn't 20 years. It was 2014, the last time Villa had won at Liverpool. So I think
that's about the last time that Newcastle beat Liverpool. Also, it was 2015, the last time Newcastle beat Liverpool anywhere, Anfield or St. James Park. And finally, we get to our Big Six matchup, or we finally have a Big Six matchup, and I'll just let you guys talk about it. It's Arsenal hosting United.
Yeah. So I mean, this is no question. United, like
No
Yeah?
question
no
at
question.
all.
Yeah.
No question
Are
at
you
all.
are you
You
wearing
guys-
your
I mean-
Homer
I mean-
glasses
no,
there, Jack?
No.
There it is.
You know,
There's the crest. There's the
no,
crest right
no
there.
disrespect, but you guys just tied a team with 10 men and without Alexander Petrovic.
Who?
Yeah,
Mitrovic.
yeah, same thing. But I mean, it's either gonna be 1-1, 2-1, 3-1, 1-1, 1-0. All possibilities for the game.
You have United, correct?
I have
Yeah.
United, yes.
You might be shocked to find out that I don't have United winning this one. United haven't won at the Emirates in their last 5 attempts.
Didn't we
Uh,
tie
they-
last season? I mean, tie last
Nope,
season.
3-2. 3-2.
Oh, okay.
With a Enkedia winner, 3-1 the year before
Oh,
that.
that's right,
3-1 the
yeah.
year before that. 1-1 the year before that, and then 2-1 the year before that. And
It's
so it is a tough it'll be a tough matchup. I think United will be set up better than they have the past couple games, but Arsenal just have too much talent for United's back line right now. I don't think United's attack is really clicking the way it needs to, and I think it'll be tough for them to go on the
I mean,
road and get
he's
3
not
points.
wrong. I'm not
no,
complaining, buddy.
he's not wrong. It's going to be a tough one. For
Once
you,
we
but
have
other than that,
Rasmus Hojlund, we could have
Yeah.
things to.
It's going
we
to be
could
a
have
tough one for you.
everything.
Yeah.
2 things though, and I do want to ask you one question about Arsenal before we wrap it up.
Yep.
And I am taking Arsenal as well. Rashford playing on the left makes United better, and that's where he played. Even though
Yeah.
I have no use for Anthony Martial, but I don't. I'm sorry.
Don't you say
But
anything about him,
Rashford
bro.
on the left makes them better, and I still think that Eriksson playing. I just don't. He's not a guy you bring off or you bring on as a sub in the last 20 minutes. He plays the first 60 minutes, and then when he's out of gas, you take him off, and which is what I would do with Garnacho. Although Anthony, I thought was spectacular. I thought he might have been United's best player. He did so many cool, creative things that generated chances. It was probably, I think, the best I've seen Anthony play. I don't think anybody else played all that well. Rashford was good. Eriksson was pretty good, although he was, I thought, culpable maybe on the first goal. But to me, it was the best I had seen Anthony play. Real quick, Jay, how would you rate how Arsenal has played so far? This is the team that you and I both picked to finish atop the table. So,
Yeah.
how do you feel like they've played?
Too cute by half. I think that we're not City, and yet I see similar tendencies this year. I do think there is a concerted focus on being ready to finish the season. The last 2 years, the last 10 games, that run in did us in for our ultimate goal. 2 years ago, it landed us 5th instead of 4th, and last year it cost us the title. And so I do think there is a lot more effort in trying to be more tactically versatile and not as predictable. Last year, anyone could name you Arsenal starting 11. On day one, you knew who they were, and as long as they were fit, they were probably, even with City, as talented as any starting 11 in form in the league. The problem is that starting 11 couldn't stay fit for the whole year. This year, we've got Jesus was out the first few games. Zinchenko hasn't played the first few games. You saw how much better we looked when he came on the field, and that left halfback position. It's not really a fullback. It's not really a center back. That's why I call it a halfback. I made that term up. You can steal it. But I think that he is going to start. I don't understand Gabriel still not starting. I think that hurt us in set pieces, particularly
played.
Particularly against Fulham late. We gave up a really silly set piece opportunity in the first half too. Easily could have gone down 2 goals at that point, but we're fortunate. And then there's just a little bit of naivety and immaturity, and I think the team is young, but you don't get to use being the youngest team or one of the youngest teams in the league 3 years in a row. It's no longer an excuse or no longer a reason. It's a problem. And so they either need to grow up real fast or start adding some professionalism, because if they continue to sit back when they get the lead and continue to kind of think that, oh, once we've got the goals, the job's done, we don't actually have to play for 90 minutes, then you're going to have a lot more of those nervy games like you did against Crystal Palace or what happened against Fulham. You're going to not put the game away. And so I think they need to really develop that killer instinct. I still think that they're getting results while they're figuring it out, and I think they'll be better in the long run for it, but they may not be as close to the title as they were last year. But I think as an overall team, they're probably going to have a better setup for going into the second half of the year and really pushing for trophies on the business end, which they weren't able to do the last 2 years.
I think the draw with Fulham, coupled with the way City rescued all 3 points at Sheffield, is one of those things that at the end of the day we'll look back on and actually match week 3 and we'll go, was that the day that City effectively won the title? I told you this at the very beginning. I think there are 2 teams at the top, and I think there are 6 or 7, 3 through however many that is, that will compete for those next spots. And I think Arsenal, I think they do have the best roster top to bottom. Without Jurrien Timber, it's a little bit different. And by the way, Doku with City, and they just got Matthias Nunez as well from Wolves. So
Matthias
they have
Nunez.
Matthias. What did I call him?
Yeah.
Matthias.
All right. Well, you keep calling him Hodgland.
You emphasize
and
it's
he's
Hodgland.
It's
You say
Hoyland.
Victor Hovland,
So,
it's Rasmus Hodgland.
Anyway, I'm rooting for you, Gunners.
All right.
We don't need, unless Liverpool wants to stay up top there, in which case I will stop rooting for you. But red card, first 10 minutes to Andy Robertson, and Liverpool will cruise.
Yes.
Because with 10 men, they're awesome. That's Jay Kumar. That's my son, Jack, who has no school tomorrow. So he hung out
10
tonight,
lads.
and we won't do that again.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for hanging out. We'll do it again next week. Actually, next week there's no matches, but we may meet anyway because we'll have Champions League to discuss. Until then, peace to all.
All right. Have a good one.